So, arrays hold data types, but only one type of data. We're going to start off with initializing an array. So I'm just going to make some room at the top of my script to write in my array. And I'm going to start with making an array of type integer. So it's only going to hold integer types. To do that, we're going to write in int, because this is a data type that we want it to be holding. I'm going to put these little square brackets, and that indicates it is actually an array. I'm then going to name my array, so I'm going to call this numbers r for array. And then for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to show you a few different ways of initializing an array. So at the moment, this is an array getting ready to make it initialized. To initialize it, we're going to start off doing it in the start. So we're just going to do numbers array equals new. We're going to set how big we want our array, so we want it 5 in length, and that is it. So we've now created an array. You can see we've got a name for it. We're then talking to it and we're saying it is a new array and how big it's going to be. From here I could then actually use my array. So I can do a for loop with an iterator. So this is just going to use I, and of course the length is going to be the same as the array size. And then I can do a debug.log, and I'm going to output numbers array at position I. So to talk to each element in an array, so we've made 5 elements long for this array. We're going to cycle through all 5. So to talk to each one individually, so I is going to start off being 0. So we're going to talk to numbers array element 0, and then moving on through 1, 2, 3, etc. through all of our elements of the array. And that's going to debug to our console. So I'll just move that out of the way for a second. Let's press play on this. Oh, I've actually forgotten to we're using the script, and I'm just going to really quickly press play, save and press play, go into our console, and we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 elements in our array, all 0 because we never told them a value to be. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to set values for us in here. So I'm going to change it, so then we're actually going to initialize our array up here. So our numbers array is going to equal a new int of length 5. But then I'm going to put curly brackets, and I'm going to say what's going to be in there. So I'm just going to put 0 to 4. Oh, I can't even, 2, 3, 4. There we are. So we've got 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's our 5 elements. We've popped them in our array. So now, get rid of that as well. When we cycle through our array, we should see numbers increasing up there. So I'm working in my little game project as well. So as you can see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like how we coded it earlier. So that's fantastic, but not very applicable at this stage because I'm trying to show off how to do things, and debugging information isn't that great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap over to creating game objects instead. So let's get rid of this and let's make a new thing. What we're going to do is we are going to make an array for game objects. So, and this is going to be public because we're going to drag and drop things in editor. So let's go for a public game object array. So we've got our brackets, and let's call this line of cubes. And this is going to be a new array of game objects. And we're going to make, let's just do 5 again. This could be any number. What we're going to do is just show off what this does in Unity Editor first, and then we'll be back. But we've made a public array of game objects, and we've given it a name, and we've initialized it to be the size of 5. That's what we've done so far. Let's just stop the game. Let's have a look at our script here. So you can see we've got our line of cubes in our script here. And we can see that no game objects have been set yet. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to make some cubes. That's 1. Let's move over a bit. Duplicate, move over a bit. 4 and 5. And then I'm going to drag and drop these cubes into my array. You can see element 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now what we've got is we've got our arrays thrown into our code. Our code now knows about those cubes because they are now, these elements are the cubes because we made it public and dragged them in. So what I want to do is when I hit start, so when I play the game, I want them all to move up a bit proportional to a incrementing value. So if you haven't guessed it already, for loop again, and I'm going to change length again to 5 because that's how big my array is. And then I'm going to set my line of cubes at position I, because I'm going to talk to each one individually. And I'm going to talk to that game objects, so starting at 0, so line of cubes are element 0. I want to talk to its transform, I want to talk to its position, and I want to increase it by a value. We've looked at vectors before, we're just going to add a new vector, and I want it to go upwards. So I'm going to do I asterisk 3, just to get some space in between them. Save that. And then when we run this, we should see that each cube should be I times 3 higher than the last one. So it's going to add to the position a little bit each time. Let's have a look. When we hit play, fingers crossed. Fantastic. You can see our cubes are moved going upwards. Let's have a look at the position. So we've got 0, 0, 0. Let's look at the next one. Plus a little bit, plus a little bit, plus a little bit. That's what we wanted. So arrays are applicable to many different things, not just outputting numbers and making boxes go a bit higher. What we can also do, for example, is have stuff like this boss, which is shooting along all of these different positions. And it uses maths to work out which position it's going to do, like for the randomness. But what I've really got is I've got an array of size 10, and this is position 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And when I want to create a cube somewhere, all I do is I use the position of this object, so array position 0, when I want to shoot out of the very left one. And let's say I wanted to shoot out of every other one, then I could do a for loop in my array, and I could say for every other position, so whilst I is even, you can imagine a for loop being 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 10 positions, and I wanted every even number and be 0 is even, so shoot here, 1 isn't even, so don't shoot here, 2 is even, so shoot here, and so on. So then it shoots out every other hole. And that is how you could make a mechanic like this. Fantastic. That is all that I want to show you off today. We could also do 2D arrays, but we can look at that in another lesson. 2D arrays, by the way, is having an array inside of an array. So here we are listing through game object types, but what we could do is do game objects and do a double array. So it's going to be like a 2D shape, but that's something for another time.